Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I am delighted to have you here with me. So I want to talk about something today that, oh my goodness, so many of us experience when we are in the process of changing things, creating a new reality, calling in the desires that we want to have, right? And that is the experience of nothing moving. Every single person, you are not alone, okay? Every single person who has ever endeavored to bring something new, something different, something upgraded into their life at some point has gone through this experience, probably, especially if you are in a continual cycle of upleveling your life and creating powerful shifts, then you will go through this over and over and over again. It is a very frustrating place to be. And I think that very often when it comes to reality creation teachings or manifestation teachings, that this particular part of the experience it's a short email. It's a quick side note. What I want to do is address this very upfront, much more clearly. Let's talk about the experience and let's talk about what it looks like to keep moving. Certainly for myself, there have been things that have come into my life that have seemed really easy. Most of my relationships in the past, even my relationship with my husband now, I don't remember specifically really sitting down and doing daily, trying to visualize and really trying to align into it. I knew what I wanted. I certainly did some of the exercises of write down the list of what would be in your ideal mate and who would you be as also an ideal mate to the person that you want to bring into your life. I certainly did those things, but I don't think there was the same feeling of pursuit in the sense of that I was pursuing bringing this experience into my life. This is also true for example, health and wellness or building my skiing ability, things like that. There's a few different areas of my life that things feel like they seem to come more easily. And then there's an area of my life that there's two of them that dovetail very closely together that I just feel like I am going the hardest possible way and everything seems to be taking forever. And that primarily is career and finance. And those two are very intricately linked because generally speaking, our career is what brings in our finances, right? What I want to talk about is you're doing the work. You're doing the things, you're journaling, you are, shifting beliefs. You keep recalibrating into the version of you that already has the thing. And you're like, okay, well, everybody says that my life should be looking different by now. Everybody says that just keep holding the vibe and then reality cannot help but match you. And you're still looking out at reality going, well, if this is what's matching me, I'm doing something wrong. And very often, so many of us, and I have been here many times before, we will be doing it for so long that we get to a point that we're just like, I don't think it's working. I don't think this is meant for me. I don't think that this is going to work out, or I'm just done trying to call it in. Now, this is where so many people that I've seen will say, don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle happens. And I understand that. The problem is none of us know, are we in the last 5 minutes? Or is it another 5 fucking years from now before we see this coming in? That's actually the greatest challenge, I think, of holding the faith, building the alignment for the dream to come in. We don't know when it's going to arrive. And this is where I've talked about this before, but this is where things like SMART goals can really mess us up, because traditional goal setting has us assigning a time, generally a date, an expectation of when this is going to be done, when this is going to arrive. And we can play with that to visualize, okay, so it's December 31st, 2026, and now I have this in my life. And that can help us understand what the feeling is. But when we are focused on a date, then it messes up our frequency along the way. And it's challenging to not have a date because we're also like, but we'd like it to have it now, please and thank you, right? So one of the things that I'm going to just pull from my notes here because I have this so beautifully written and I want to read it from here. So you've journaled, manifested, visualized, and still life feels heavy, unclear, and maybe even pointless. You wonder if it's working. You question why it feels so unbelievably messy. You secretly think, what if I'm just kidding myself? But here's the truth. Creating the life of your dreams doesn't start with rose petals and sparkles. It starts with declaration and expectation, and then a whole lot of messy, uncomfortable growth. Because when you're up-leveling, it doesn't look like the cool things in the movies and stuff. It's not like cool, awesome music. It looks like days that you can barely get out of bed, feeling bored, disconnected, or uninspired, wondering what the actual fuck you are doing. But that discomfort, that chaos, that WTF energy, that's actually the movement. That's the movement. It is life rearranging itself to meet your upgraded beliefs. So let's talk about that for a hot minute. I want to invite you to join me inside an experience that I'm calling 30 Days to $8,000. What I am doing, big courage step for me, is I will be daily for 30 days recording videos. I'll be showing you what I'm doing, but it's not like I'm performing what I'm doing for you. So I've been practicing this for some time and really understanding the vibe and getting into it. I have some pre-recorded videos for you. So if you're curious and you kind of want to check it out before you jump in with me, there's a link on the enrollment page that you can go check out some of the pre-enrollment videos. But what I'm doing inside 30 Days to $8,000 is I'm bringing you behind the curtain of what it actually looks like to do the daily alignment, to do the shifts when the things feel fucking hard, when you're losing faith, when the doubts are louder in your brain than any kind of faith in your vision and your dream coming true. Because as much as we can hear amazing leaders talk about, well, you need to align into the energy, I know for myself, I've been studying manifestation for 15, 20 years. I don't remember exactly when I first got into it. And this has been one of the most challenging things for me to figure out because I'm well, how do I know that I'm in alignment? They're well, you'll know you're in alignment when it shows up in your life. And I'm okay, but there's a delay. So what if I'm doing all the right things and apparently it's coming in, but then it doesn't look like it's coming in, so I stop doing the right things, right? This is where we end up. So I am recording every day for 30 days. You'll probably get a combination of my morning alignment. I'll do some it doesn't happen every day. This is the cool thing about the work. As we get into it, it doesn't mean that you're constantly shifting beliefs. When I first started, it felt oh my God, I had to do this over and over and over again. And as the paradigm in my subconscious begins to shift, it's less of a really intense, constant recalibration, and it's more of a tuning, a consistent tuning. Now it ebbs and flows, and this is why I'm doing it for 30 days. You can join me inside the experience for as little as $5, which is fucking awesome, okay? Check out the sales page. There's 3 different levels to join me, and we start at $5. The most costly one is $47, and that $47 also will get you the journaling prompts for any time that I'm doing journaling through that 30 days. I'll email them to you, and we do 4 live coaching calls so that as you're going through the journey with me, as you're practicing aligning your energy with the vision that you're calling in, as you are endeavoring daily to calibrate your frequency to the desire existing in your life, you're going to have questions and you're going to be like, am I doing this right? How could I say this differently? What do I do when this thing comes up? And that's where those group coaching calls are going to be amazing. We're doing this for 30 days only. So it's not going to be crazy. There'll be 4 calls over 4 weeks. And we're going to be going live in May. If at any point in time, if you're watching this after May 2026, you can always go and access the recordings, but then there won't be the live coaching call. You'll just see the recordings of the coaching call, okay? So I'm calling it 30 days to $8,000 because that is the specific income level that I am currently calibrating myself into. And together I will help you understand, learn, and practice how to shift your language, how to shift your energy, and how to really come into the alignment of the goal that you want to have. Now, here's why I want to, not just because I'm like, hey, come join me in this program, but here's why I want to talk about this specific program today. Because as I have been doing the shifts to bring this income in, to become the match for this income, the stuff in between, anybody on the outside looking in is going to go, Amy, it's not working. There's nothing happening. There's like no new things showing up. Show me where the income. I don't see proof of it happening. And this is the key. The proof that it's happening is not going to look like what we think it will. Because we think it will look like, oh my gosh, and sometimes it can, oh my gosh, I just had a new client sign on. Oh my goodness, I just had, 4 new people buy my program. Oh my goodness, I just received a, tax refund. This is how we think it looks, and it can look that way. And those moments feel really encouraging. They really fill us up and help us keep going. But in my experience, I think that if that's what we are focusing on and expecting, we find ourselves experiencing more disappointment. So here's how I know the movement is happening. Here's how I know that the structures are rearranging themselves. I have awarenesses coming through of different things that I believed. So, for example, I have a book that I've been reading for some time. It's called Rich as Fuck by Amanda Frances. Highly recommend. It's a really fun read. And the other day I had to go up to do a site visit for a build that I did the design for and I'm project managing through. And it's about a 2.5 hour drive one way. So it's like I got 5 hours on the highway in a day to go up to the site visit, make sure everything's okay, and then come back. And sometimes I just vibe out and listen to music, but I had this idea, you know what, I'm going to see if there's an audiobook, and I found her audiobook on Spotify. And so I pressed play. Now inside the book, on each chapter, she has journaling questions. This is where the impact happens. This is where the shift happens. That's why inside Wealthy as Fuck, which is my premium all-in money, finance, wealth creation program, every module comes with a workbook full of journaling prompts for you, because as much as we want to take in information and insights, the actual transformation happens when we start to apply it into our life and pulling the things out that aren't helping and bringing in the things that really are, okay? So I'm driving up the highway. It's a gorgeous, sunny Alberta day. The roads are in amazing shape. Everything's ticking along nicely. I'm having a great time. I'm listening to the audiobook, and we come to the journal prompts. Now, typically, if you were just listening to the audiobook, you would pause and write it in your journal. I'm driving my car, therefore cannot just sit down and write something out. So I listen to the question and I press pause, and then I just verbally talk it out. I cannot recommend this enough. I think I talk about it in every single program that I offer. I have suggested this and encouraged all my coaching clients to do this, the same thing as well. Talking things out loud, you'll feel like an idiot, like you've lost your marbles, but it's a very different processing than just thinking through things. It's kind of crazy. Someday I'm going to find out the science behind it. But when we just think through things, we sort of get off track and things sound differently. But when I say them out loud, now I'm I feel it vibrating through my body because my vocal cords are vibrating to make the noise. I hear it coming in through my ears, of course, and there's a different kind of processing that happens with that. So I'm on my drive up, I'm listening to these questions. I'm like, okay, so a question gets asked, I press pause and I start talking through the question, like the answer to the question. And this was fascinating to me. I don't remember which question it was exactly, but it was something that was related to the financial experience that I've had, the dream that I've had longer than I can even remember. Like, when I started to really understand, this is a dream I've had since I was so young. I did not realize that like this was kind of, a silly thing to aspire to. I'm talking through the vision and I was like, okay, instead of just looking at the vision as something like far off, here's the thing. What I found was that when we look at the vision far off, let's say, for example, I'm going to actually use the exact example that I used in the car. So it's one thing for me to play in a vision of, okay, I have, $10 million. It's slightly more conceivable, I guess, in a way, the amount, but I have this sense of like, okay, like I've got to take steps to get there. So it's like, okay, like what's a crazy amount of money that is just like more money than I could possibly ever imagine spending? And I'm like, well, $100 million is a lot of money. Now my brain immediately goes into, yeah, but like, are we talking 100 million Canadian dollars, 100 million US dollars, 100 million rupees? Like, what are we talking? And I'm like, listen, brain, thank you, but please stop. We are talking about $100 million with the energetic sense of what $100 million today would mean in my life, regardless, like, so we'll assume it's Canadian dollars because I live in Canada, right? 100 million bucks Canadian is nothing to sneeze at. I went through the vision of, okay, what was becoming aware to me was I had this structure in my belief paradigm that said, as someone who would be that wealthy, a multimillionaire, I would be a selfish, self-obsessed bastard. Very fascinating thing to come through. And I was like, well, isn't this interesting? So I thought, okay, I'm going to do two versions of playing this out. Let's imagine I have $100 million right now. And if I truly were a selfish, self-obsessed bastard, these are the actual words that came through, well, how would I be using that money? What would that experience be like? I set the expectation for the exercise of talking it through that this money is, no matter what, is in continual growth. So like $100 million is the minimum, right? Like it's only going to go up from there. So I have $100 million now, and in 2 years I'd have $120 million, and in 5 years I'd have like $180 million. That the money is always growing, so that no matter how I spend it or how I use it, it's constantly growing. So that immediately gets rid of like any concern or fear of money running out. So I move through this exercise of like, okay, so if I really was a selfish, self-centered bastard, how would I be moving with this amount of money in my life? It actually took me a minute to go, okay, like how would I use it? And and this is why it's so powerful to speak it out loud. As I spoke out loud the things that I would do from the expectation that I truly was a selfish, self-obsessed bastard, it sounded so ridiculous and foreign. I was like, that would be as realistic as me somehow learning how to become a black person. I can't change the color of my skin no matter how much I believed in it or how many people told me, Amy, you're really actually like a black person. Like, it's not possible, okay? Because I can't change my physiology in that way. That was such a clear example for me of, listen, people might say to you, like, they have a perception that anybody that has this amount of money would act in this way. But that's, again, for me, would be as realistic as me saying, okay, so today I've decided that I'm going to now change the color of my skin and I will now operate in the world with black skin. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's not a possibility because that's just not in my cells. There are no like, I feel like I'm like really treading the water here. I'm like, whoa, Amy, be careful. So anyway, okay. I digress. Let me come back. I'm trusting that you're hearing the message of what I'm attempting to say here. So then I shifted it and said, okay, so now that I realize it is so utterly ridiculous to think that I would be this selfish, self-obsessed bastard when I have the multi-million dollars that my dream is to have, let's take it to, and here's the key, not Amy when she got to that point, Amy today. Today, Amy, exactly the version of me that I am right this friggin' moment, this person that was holding the steering wheel driving up the highway, Amy today, exactly how she is, now has $100 million. Same parameters, no concern of it ever running out because the money is constantly growing no matter how I use it, circulate it, or, however it comes in. How would I move with money then? And in that moment, all of these amazing, super fun things that I wanted to do, experiences that I wanted to make possible, they all started to flow through. And not any one of them was a selfish, self-obsessed experience. And it felt very natural. And in that processing, because I didn't make it some future version of me that had to, grow and become and up level to be this whatever person that would be capable of holding that, because I could go from, well, this is me today. So what are the things that I would do today? Okay, so I have this dream of, like setting up this thing. And me today goes, okay, but there's probably some legal requirements and I want to check like tax implications of that. So how would me today handle that with the knowledge and insight that she has? Well, she would talk with her accountant and we would find a really great lawyer and they would help us figure it out. Oh, okay. Well, that's actually much easier. This processing through, what it allowed me to do was realize that I had this old junky kind of structure in my financial paradigm that was getting in the way, that was saying, I know you want to be a multimillionaire, Amy, but like if you become a multimillionaire, you're going to be a selfish, self-obsessed bastard, which is what I proved is ridiculous. And the actual truth would be, this is actually how I would operate in the world, which is actually, and this is where, again, I had to talking through this was, so it's a focus of kindness, love, joy, fun, fulfillment, satisfaction. There were elements in there of like, so what would I do in my business? And I'd had this idea of like, oh, I'd probably need to have this giant team. And then I was like, well, who would I actually bring in? And what I realized was, I'd bring in two people and I'm like, so this person would do this thing. This person would do this thing. I would be doing this thing. Here's how our clients would be feeling. Here's what the experience would be on the inside and how it reads on the outside. And I'm like, oh, okay, that actually feels really great. As I arrived at the site on the way, because I kept answering the questions and kept processing through them, I'd cleared a whole pile of stuff out that had been kind of junking up the space. That is the actual things that shift as we're on the way. When I am doing the daily alignment, when I'm sitting down, which I just had a moment, I'm like, did I do it today? It's become so part of my pattern that I'm like, wait a minute. And I had to just think, yes, I did actually do it today. I anchor it to, I have a morning and an evening, and I anchor it to two things that are generally like pretty consistent in my day. So the first anchor for me every day is after I have a shower. So I have my shower, I get dressed, I get like everything on before I leave the room to go do, whatever it is in like, generally I walk into my office to start doing some work. Before I go to do that, I sit down on the floor at the foot of my bed, I put a piece of music on and I do my alignment. That anchoring, I think it's called habit stacking. That anchoring means that like there's a trigger for me to go, oh yeah, we got to do this thing. Now I also have a Post-it on my dresser that just very simply says like calibrate into $8,000 before and then go to your office. As a reminder, because there are many days that I'm like, okay, I'm off. And then I look down, oh shit, it's my Post-it. Right, I got to get some music on and like do this thing. The other one that is very consistent in timing is when I go to bed. Now, I started doing this when I was like, I'd sit on the floor, but there were moments that I'm like, you know what, I'm cold. I want to just like get in under the covers. I want to start feeling cozy and relaxed. And so what I would do is I would do my evening journal. I'd put on a piece of music, and then I'd do the alignment, and then I'd read my book before I went to sleep. And that is actually like super easy. It took the friction away from like doing this daily thing. Inside those moments when I'm doing those calibration things, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do it, exactly the language that I use. You'll literally just like see me doing the calibrations inside 30 days to $8,000. So definitely click on the link to come join me inside and get into your pre-enrollment now. Inside those calibrations, it's a series of like calling in the vision, aligning that energy into this already being in my life now, and asking for guidance and support. So some days that request may look more like, what am I going to do today? What's my inspired action today? This video is today's inspired action. And I'm probably going to be doing a podcast recording after this as well. So like these are the inspired actions for today. Amy, go record some video content. You're a little behind. You've missed a couple Saturdays. Okay, cool. I better get my butt in the chair and like record some videos. I ask for support. I ask for clarity of the things that are getting in the way. So yesterday, I'm driving back from another site visit that was only 25 minutes away, so much shorter drive this time. I'm continuing on in this audiobook. I don't even know what chapter I'm on, and it doesn't matter. And I'm listening as I'm navigating traffic and moving my way across the city. And all of a sudden I heard 2 sentences that talked about, it was something to the effect of money comes to you in the ways you believe it can. It just stopped me in my proverbial tracks. I like went back, pressed play again. Money comes in the ways you believe it can. Wait, go back, press play. Money comes in the ways you believe it can. And in instant clarity, I realized I have zero friction of money coming in through a job. In fact, when I have a job, I have every expectation that money flows in consistently every, 2 weeks or whenever payday is. That's my full expectation. So that's the only way it can show up. When it comes to doing design work, very little friction there. Someone wants to hire me to do a paint color consultation, or like this big build that I'm navigating, or this ensuite that I designed and is finishing up the renovations now. Like there's no friction there other than like just balancing the day-to-day things that I have to, you can't see, but there's a desk behind there. So balancing the day-to-day things that I need to do, right? That's the only kind of friction that really falls in around design work and getting paid for design work. But this business that I'm building now is a completely different structure. And it has this sense, what I realized as I was thinking about this and thinking about the belief structures I have of how money can come in, I was like, there's this sort of like magicalness to the business that I'm building now, in the sense of, wait, I can like put something out and like people from all over the world can pay to be a part of it. I don't have to like go knock on their door and be like, hey, Josephine, come join me inside this thing, right? That sense of it's almost like magic. What it gave me clarity on was, oh, I see. So I've already like aligned into the income. And in order for it to actually flow into my life, perhaps now it's what are the beliefs that I need to build, strengthen, maybe release that are going to allow for that income to actually flow in through my business. That is what is happening. And that's the stuff that when we are in the muck of it, that it literally feels like you're not doing anything, and it feels like nothing is happening because it's so freaking subtle. And unless you're really paying attention, it just feels like it can just go by. And it seems small. And so often, oh my goodness, I cannot tell you how often, trying to explain these experiences to someone else, including to my husband, who's amazing at like listening to the things and understanding what I have to say. Sometimes I feel like I'm a complete lunatic. Like it doesn't make sense. How do I explain this particular experience? But that is actually the movements happening. When you're calling something in, let's say, for example, your vision is to call in a really wonderful, loving, passionate, romantic partner, right? A spouse, a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, a romantic partner. You really want to have this fulfilling, satisfying, very passionate relationship in your life. And you've set the vision, you've done your list of like, my ideal mate has these qualities and I feel this way when I'm around them, and this is the person that I am that like really nicely aligns with them. And yet you're like, but I don't understand. What am I supposed to do now? Do I go join all the dating sites? Do I have to like go, I don't know, just like go to bars and try to meet people at the bar? Like how do I call this person in? So everybody's inspired action will look different, but the work and the tiny bits that come in are going to seem idiotic almost. And they're so tiny that you'll miss them unless you're really paying attention. You'll just randomly have a thought. I forget who it is that shared this story. It might be Amanda Francis, but it might be somebody else that said something about they wanted to create a program or something, or they wanted to create some kind of income. And they sat down and they meditated on it, and they got this. Their inspired action was like, go to the beach. And this person was like, what am I going to do at the beach? That makes no friggin' sense. But they went to the beach. They followed the inspired action, which again, made no sense. And like anybody else around be like, what are you doing? You're wasting time. When they were at the beach, I think that's where they got this like really incredible idea for a program, a course, whatever, a coaching offer, whatever it was that they got, and like could just see the pathway. So then they went back and they created it, and it's been amazing. But that tiny little moment of just like, I feel like I should go to the beach makes no fucking sense. And this is what I'm trying to communicate, that when we are in the muck, when everything actually is rearranging, it doesn't look like it, and it certainly doesn't feel like it. And the best way to keep yourself moving is to be really paying attention to what's going on. And I cannot state this enough. Putting credit and value in the tiny things that show up. The random thoughts that you suddenly think, oh my God, like, wait, do I even believe this is possible for me? The moments where someone says something to you that gets you all kinds of triggered, has you feel in all kinds of ways, and you're like, what the fuck? This is not okay. And then you're like, oh, okay, this is something that needs to be like, is asking to be looked at, released, let go of in some way, because it's actually junking up the receiving, right? Those tiny moments are the things that are proof that life is rearranging for you, and that this is I think where that co-creative space really comes in. This sense that it's not just you creating it. You can't just ask God, source, universe to create it for you, because that would violate your free will if that thing is somehow not in alignment with who you are and what you believe to be possible right now. It is co-creative. So you say, God, source, universe, I want 10 million bucks in income this year. And God, source, universe says, cool, love it, here for it, let's fucking go. All the world is rearranging. Here's some things that I need you to shift and calibrate differently so that I can bring it in. And you're like, but wait, what? What do you mean I have to do shifts? What do you mean that this belief can't come with me? What do you mean I have to do some cleaning up at my end? WTF. No. We are in this constant co-creative. And as we are, I like to think of it as sort of like tidying it up, cleaning it up, just clearing the air. Because we have so much junk that gets piled onto us. So taking that junk out, letting it go, understanding that like, oh, okay. Oh, I'm not actually a selfish, self-obsessed bastard. So probably when the money comes in, I will be, loving and kind and generous just like I am now. It would just look differently and I could do some really fucking cool things with the money, right? Those things are the universe working together with you to create this reality. Let's cap it there. If this video has been helpful in any way, shape, or form, I would really love for you to like the video, hit subscribe, of course, if you want to get notifications for when the new videos come out. It is my goal, my intent to have a new video every Saturday for you. So I apologize for falling off the wagon a little bit for a couple of weeks. And please share this video out, share it on the socials. If you share it there, be sure to tag me at Amy Van Meel so I can celebrate you and say thank you. And let's get the word out there, because there are so many wonderful, loving, kind, good-hearted people like you in the world that are feeling stuck, feeling beaten down, and giving up on the things that we really desire to experience in our life, because I think we are misunderstanding the actual creative experience, what it actually looks and feels like. And if I can do anything to help you, help the whole world, maybe not the whole world, but like as many people as I can get this into the hands of, right? To understand what the creative experience can look and feel like, and it will adjust for everybody, of course. I do believe that what we will see is more people staying the course, and that we're going to start creating some really fucking cool things. And I mean, let's be real. We need more of that, right? I am calling in news headlines that are like, holy crap, this person just called in this wildly, outrageously cool thing. Let's talk about that. Holy crap, this person just did this like insanely cool, generous thing. Let's talk about that. Holy crap, this group of people have built these amazing businesses, and now they are using their financial resources to create this kind of specific, positive, beneficial change for their country, the world, their community, whatever. Like, these are the kinds of headlines that we want to call in more of. So please help me get the word out there. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.